What is up guys, it's your boy Solheim here, back with another Season of Discovery video for you. I'm currently playing Wrath and I'm doing the last few of my dailies and weeklings before the launch of Season of Discovery today, and I want to make this video to talk about my future wish list for the season itself. Basically, the point of this video is to talk about a bunch of things that I want to see added to the season in later phases, maybe phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4 and so on, mainly covering like gameplay things, like mechanics in the game, or just like, things in the game that I want to see added to the game. I've already made a video talking about future class runes that I would love to see, like Starfall for Druids, Bladestorm for Warriors. If you haven't seen that one yet, that is my third most recent video I think, so go to my channel and check that one out, but for now we're focusing more on things like rated battlegrounds, arenas and stuff like that, heroic dungeons, right? So without further ado, let's just get right into it. I have quite a few things to talk about today, and we're gonna do this on like a category by category basis, starting off with rated battlegrounds and arenas. This is something that maybe not everyone wants to see in Classic WoW, but personally I would love to see how it would look like, especially in Season of Discovery. In Classic WoW, arenas would be kind of like meh, because you would have rogues versus rogues all the time, because rogues can crowd control 24/7, but in Season of Discovery they're doing class changes that would counteract that to some degree, especially now we're only in phase 1. Imagine what they can do in phase 2, phase 3 and phase 4. Adding more focus to the PvP element, adding arenas would be so much fun. I think in Classic WoW would definitely be different than it was in TBC, and rated battlegrounds as well would just work so well, especially now that we have a brand new PvP system as well. Just think about rated battlegrounds, instead of farming for like for 40 weeks or 30 weeks, 20 weeks, whatever, to get rank 14, you can now do it through the rated battleground system, where it's more based on skill rather than time spent, which could be really interesting, or even just like give people the opportunity to team up 10 versus 10 and see who has the better team. Competitive Warzone Gulch in that matter I think could be so much fun, and getting a MMR skill based ranking in that case, it's just going to be fun, and would provide more incentive, for me at least, to play PvP, rather than just world PvP. Sure, world PvP is fun, but can also be kind of like unfair, because it's either 1 versus 1 or 1 versus 10, or like 1 versus 5, and in this case if you have arenas it's always fair, it's 2 versus 2, 3 versus 3, and same with rated battlegrounds, right? Provides a more fair and competitive environment. Next up, we have something that is basically taken from TBC and Wrath, and that is the addition of heroic dungeons. I've always been on the fence that I really want to experience what heroic dungeons would be like in Classic WoW or Vanilla WoW, because there's so many good dungeons that you're doing while leveling that you will never do again unless you level an alt, which in a season you won't level that many alts anyway, because it has a cap. Usually seasons last for about 1 year and then they finish. In that case, Dead Mines you're doing only between level 15 and 25 probably, and same thing with Wailing Caverns, both of which are absolutely fantastic dungeons. So in this case, what I'm suggesting is heroic versions of those for level 60, and there's a couple of reasons for this. Number one is that they're reusing content they already have. All they have to do is scale things up and maybe add some new items, or just scale the items up to level 60. Imagine Cruel Barb, but scaled up to level 60 from Dead Mines. That could be like a pre-raid best for someone, or at least offer a really strong level 60 blue upgrade. Or you can actually add brand new items as well that only drops from heroic Dead Mines, and that wouldn't really take them that much work. And the thing is, first of all, once again they are reusing content they already have, so very little amount of work needed, but they're also adding replayable content, because in that case people can go back, replay the same dungeons they already have done in the past for a new reason. While you're leveling, you're doing the dungeon to level up and get gear while leveling up. At level 60 you're doing the same dungeon, but this time for something completely different. You're doing it for level 60 gear, pre-raid bis. Also, it would change up the leveling meta, or the gearing up meta at level 60 quite a bit, because if you're like me and you played Vanilla WoW back in the day, you played Classic WoW back in the day, you played Season of Mastery back in the day, and you played Hardcore, you've gone through it. You've done BRD like 10,000 times, you've done Upper Blackrock Spire 100 billion times, and you've done every single part of that so many times, and just adding heroic dungeons would spice up that pre-raid endgame so much, and give you something new, which once again, Season of Discovery is supposed to be like a new feeling, in which this really would be. Next up, this category is really small, it's gonna go really fast, but adding world bosses and give us some class runes attached to them. We don't really need that many of them, but let's say they add 2 or 3 world bosses that make sense somewhat to the lore, like a Blasted Lance world boss or something. Just add a world boss somewhere and give us a class rune quest for every single class tied to that world boss. Maybe you have to do something specific on the world boss, like if you're a warlock for example. Let's say there's a warlock tanking rune that you can get from the world boss. It requires you to do something tanky to the world boss, and if you have like a healer rune, it requires you to do something healer-ish to the world boss. Just make some fun class quests that gives you a really good rune centered around those world bosses. Obviously, world boss would be level 60 content, this is going to be like way down the line, but I would love to see this happen. Like, first of all, the world bosses would add more content to the game, it would also give us more loot, which would spice up gearing as well, and give us more like kind of epic quest lines for the class runes. Speaking of level 60 content and epic quest lines for class runes, I would love to see them add some level 60 epic class quests, and this one I will separate from class runes and say that I would love to see them add a level 60 epic quest line that makes sense to your class's lore, like paladins being in Plague Lands or something, doing something with the Argent Dawn, or something with like Scarlet Monastery as well, so maybe like go to Scarlet Monastery and do something there, then go to Eastern Plague Lands, do something with Tyrion, and yeah, just make it make sense. Druids, Moonglade, right? Make a questline that makes sense lore-wise and take some time to do. You have to go like back and forth, do things, maybe do a dungeon, and have it end with you doing a raid. And after the raid, you get a guaranteed epic for your class. Not like, it shouldn't be best in slot by any means, but it should give you a really good upgrade, but you would have to work for it. And I think that would be cool. It would make like some more spice to your class and give you something class unique, which we don't really have that much of. We have the level 50 class quest, but I would love to see something epic for level 60. It doesn't even have to be a weapon, but give you like an epic item, like epic chest or something, that does something specific to your class. If you're a mage, maybe the epic item gives you a teleport or mana back or something, and if you're a healer, maybe using it gives you mana back or heals a party member, and if you're a tank, maybe you have like an extra taunt or gives you more threat. Just something cool to your class or your role. Now, we've talked a bit about PvE for now, so let's go back to PvP, where we started the video by rated battlegrounds and arenas, and let's shift the gear back to open world PvP, and talk about something called war zones. This was something mentioned on my YouTube post about this, so thank you so much, but I really enjoyed this idea, and I think it sounds so cool. I've made some personal adjustments to that comment as well, to kind of make it fit what I think war zones could be, but imagine you're playing classic WoW, vanilla WoW, and like once or twice per day a zone lights up. So in this case, let's just say wetlands lights up. Now for the next 1 hour or 2 hours, wetlands becomes a war zone, and while it is a war zone, everyone inside gets plus 200% honor from kills, and you also could get rewards. I don't know what they would be or how they would be distributed, but the main thing here is that it's a war zone. It offers even more world PvP, and it gives you an incentive to go to that zone and do PvP in that zone. I think this kind of builds upon the Ashenvale aspect we have in Phase 1 of Season of Discovery, where right now, Ashenvale is kind of this open world PvP event zone, right? So it's the big PvP zone for Phase 1 of Season of Discovery, but the War Zone aspect is like replayable. They can add this in Phase 1 or even Phase 2, let's just say they add it in Phase 2, and they can keep this going for every single phase, and it will always be relevant, because even at level 60, you still want honor, and when a zone lights up, like let's just say it lights up every 12 hours, right? That gives you once or twice per day where you can do this depending on your sleep pattern and when they actually open up or when they light up. So twice per day a zone lights up, gives you 200% honor. It gives you an extra incentive to go and do open world PvP in that one zone for that time span. It also creates this kind of dangerous scenario of leveling there at that time. Maybe even give extra experience while leveling there, but that could be a little bit too much. But the Warzone aspects to me sounds so much fun, and would just it would repeat on that replayability content, where that's something they could add once and it will keep being really active for the entire season, by pretty much everyone. So this one sounds really cool to me, could be a lot to ask for in a season, and in vanilla WoW could be like a little bit out of the vanilla WoW aspect, but let me know your thoughts on that in the comments down below. I think it just sounds like Ashenvale, or not Ashenvale, Stranglethorn Vale. When you level 30, go into Stranglethorn Vale, like that's an absolute bloodbath, and with Warzone, any zone can be like that on a PvP server, which just sounds so cool to me. Now to end the video off, I wanted to talk about some various things, so just a bunch of real quick things to finish this off, to like have a complete wish list for me personally. Now a couple of these are really obvious. New zones, new dungeons, and new raids, those are very obvious. They're coming, we already have a new raid from BFD, but what I'm saying here is I want some new raids that we don't have yet. Let's just talk about Karazhan Crypt for example, we could have that. Even Karazhan Halls, the Scarlet Halls raid, not just a reworked version of Scarlet Monastery. I want to see something different. Yes, we can use the same, we can have Scarlet Monastery, but in that case I want to see a brand new wing, with new bosses, new like mechanics, new structures, a brand new wing as well, not just reworking old things but adding new things. And for example, the Potence of Uldum raid, we have the Uldum raid, right, the giants in Ulduar, Uldum in Tanaris, that could be a raid or a dungeon, something like that. There's a bunch of things they can do, and for new dungeons as well, once again I want to see new dungeons, not just reworked old ones. I want to see something new, but that's a lot to ask for a season, but still, if we can get one new dungeon, I'm gonna be happy. I would also love to see some new items in Season of Discovery. In this case, let's just think about trinkets. We don't have that many trinkets, and the trinkets we have, it's like every class wants the same trinket. Briarwood Reed, for example, pre-raid Abyss for so many classes, and we have a strength, agility, or like attack power equivalent as well. Give us more variety in trinkets, and give us some different trinkets, not just like increased spell power, increased healing power, increased attack power. Give us something with like a proc chance, or like an on-use effect. We have a bunch of examples from that in Wrath, right, where we have a bunch of different trinkets that do a bunch of different things, and I would love to see some flavor like that in Classic WoW as well, to a certain degree. Once again, it has to make sense, it has to be like vanilla-like, but I would just love to see some brand new items, mainly trinkets, because trinkets by themselves can actually spice up the class meta more than you might think. I also want to see two-handed shamans and smite priest. I've already made a video about this, talking full length about those two classes. I'm not gonna bore you guys to death with that, but I really want to see like more utility and more runes that really make these playable. Once again, you can play two-handed shamans right now, but are they really that good when we have runes towards dual wielding, but we don't have any runes that enhance your two-handed shamans? Same thing with smite priest. You can smite priest, but you won't heal, and it only requires 1 or 2 runes, and suddenly those two classes or class fantasies, they're playable. I also want to see them finish off some quest lines that they haven't really finished. There's a bunch of zones that have a very low amount of quests. Fellwood, for example, could have a bunch more quests for sure, and same thing with Ashara. Ashara has like, what, 7 or 8 quests. Definitely could have a lot more. And that is pretty much what I have for you today. At the point of uploading this video, we should be 4 hours away from the launch of Season of Discovery, unless I had to postpone or rush the video out because we had more planned, but it should be 4 hours before. So in that case, Season of Discovery is right around the corner. Go grab some snacks, get some food rolling, do some meal prepping, and I'm planning on streaming the launch and the first 24 hours on this channel as well as my Twitch. So if you haven't followed me on Twitch yet or subscribed to my YouTube channel, please consider doing that. It's this channel right here, plus my Twitch link is in the description down below. I'm planning on doing a 24-hour stream and reaching level 25 in those 24 hours, which could be a challenge, but we'll see how it goes. We'll definitely see how it goes, and it could be a lot of fun. I'm also planning on leveling a couple of alts, because the season for me is really about playing a bunch of classes. There's so many classes that really look fun to me. I'm planning on being a warlock main. I also want to be a druid, I want to have a hunter. Well, there's so many classes that look so much fun to play. Thankfully, level 25 is the cap in phase 1. Either way, if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like down below, and I'll see you in 4 hours for a stream. Peace out.